Welcome to Glitches to Gold, a weekly podcast birthed from my obsession with living a successful life. It began with chasing an Olympic dream and resulted in a 30-year obsession explored through sport, neuroscience, psychology, energetics, quantum mechanics, religion, art, and beauty. Sometimes chasing and achieving external markers, and at others experiencing the absolute opposite. Yet both taught me the same undeniable truth, and I'm here to share what I have discovered in the journey of mastering the alchemy of life, turning glitches to gold and success into overflow. If you like the podcast, share the love, like, rate, and subscribe on your favourite platform. Hi, and welcome to today's episode of Glitches to Gold. And I'm Jo Warwick, and I'm so pleased that you're joining me here today. As a reminder, you can find everything that I offer, the ways that I work, etc. through glitchestogold.com. Just head on over there and you can discover things like The Matrix Decoded with the Secret Feminine Tax, or Unlimited, my membership area. There's lots of wonderful ways for you to move through the Glitches to Gold journey and step into the gold standard life that you've been designed for. So what are we talking about today? Well, I was thinking about how particularly entrepreneurial women, inspirational women, leadership women are still chasing the idea of the big highs, the big success, but on a deep level are actually craving stability, craving unfolding. And yet there is a program that is blocking them from having the thing that they actually want, rather than chasing some elusive, sexy high, the glitter, rather than having the solid gold. Now, the one thing about gold itself, it is very solid, okay? It's the most solid commodity on the entire trading platforms. Okay, gold has been around forever because gold itself is a very solid element. Okay, it's worth more than anything else because of its longevity. Now, it might be where you think, well, gold fluctuates in jewelry and things like that. Yes, of course it fluctuates. And there are other shiny things that are more sexy. But gold itself is the standard for all trading, for all ideas of our currency, and its longevity, because gold is sustainable. And that's what we're talking about. Now, in your business or career, or just in the way that you're living, but particularly if you see yourself as a visionary leadership entrepreneur kind of woman, a woman who's been wanting to make an impact or wanting to have her own business, wanting to have that freedom, there's a drive in you that's been leading you to break the rules as you've seen them. And it's got you to this level, and maybe you've been chasing the money or the identity or the recognition, but actually you've still found yourself not in sustainability, not in stability, because the things that you've been chasing often are glittery and shiny. Recognition on social media, maybe it's been the money, that the money has felt very shallow. It hasn't had longevity to it. And that's because the idea of sustainability and stability in somewhere in your body is not programmed to believe that is sexy. And in fact, might have an energetic programming in you, unconscious program, that is fearing that it is actually makes you stuck, makes you heavy, it's dangerous, it's not safe to be around, because that is the misprogramming, partly from the matrix, maybe from trauma, but mostly to keep you in a program of chasing the elusive, shiny object, the fame, the recognition. Whereas the thing that you deeply desire is a business that is sustainable, lasting, supportive, generates more income. You want to have wealth, not just money, wealth. Legacy wealth, wealth that is lasting, money that's making more money. You want to have money that is so sustainable and supportive in your life. It's not really something you think about, because you're able to do the shopping, you're able to buy the things that you want, you're able to travel when you want, you're able to go out for dinner when you want. The things that you probably desire aren't actually that big, even going on big travel trips. The idea that you might think, oh, I'd like to go first class, or I'd like to stay in a 5-star hotel. These things are beautiful. But like all things, the shiny high points get very dull after a while. And I can tell you that from experience. The things that are very sexy is the not having to think about money, not having to worry, not having to feel the panic, the anxiety, the stress. That's very sexy. Feeling grounded and safe and free-flowing and creative, feeling like your generous self, that is very sexy. Feeling open to life and love and receiving, that's so fucking sexy. What is truly sexy is feeling like you're standing on your own 2 feet, having an independent, sustainable career, business, life that also allows love in abundance, money in abundance, freedom in abundance. You're not forcing yourself to be independent, hyper independent. You're not looking to be codependent, but you're actually standing in your sovereignty. That is the most sexy thing there is. And the thing that you actually desire, because you want to create more and more and more. That is overflow. But what has been draining you is being in a business concept or a career concept, the foundational pieces of your life has been taxed and making you feel that actually, if I actually have stability, it's going to equate with being held back. Because how many women have felt that way of we're not allowed to have free flowing? And so we've associated reaching a peak with success. But success isn't that. In fact, it is a moment in time that looks exciting and it's a thrill. But like a heroin addict, you start chasing that thrill over and over again. And if you want to have a business or a successful career, it isn't just about making the steps of going, I'm working up the ladder. It's the way that you see your life and the way that you see yourself. And you look at things in a much longer term plan rather than the instant gratification like a drug addict. Okay. But it's also looking at the whole of you. I often call myself the business of Joe Warwick. Okay. The business of Joe Warwick isn't my glitches to gold money therapy business. That is not the business of Joe Warwick. The business of Joe Warwick is the way that I'm living in every single aspect of my life, and including the things that I used to think were unsexy because I was an entrepreneur and now think, oh, holy fuck, these are so sexy and so fun to play with. But ISAs, pensions, investments, trading, savings, property, that kind of wealth, building sustainable wealth that looks at a long-term, short-term, medium, and gives me the riverbanks to my business. Super fucking sexy. But on top of that, the way that I show up every day is not looking for a high, but instead looking for an unfolding, feeling like that unfolding flow. And you may hear me often talk about this, the difference between having stable, strong riverbanks and a flowing river. The divine feminine, the creative life force in you is the river. And the riverbanks is your divine masculine embodiment, the materialistic stability in your life, the physical. Yeah? We want both. And we want to structure our business to match that. We want to structure the business of you, the business of Joe Warwick in my case, to make sure that we have both, so that we are finding both, the same as we would in a relationship. You don't want to be chasing a constant orgasm. You want the stability of affection, of support, of communication, of being seen, of being supported. You don't just want the orgasms. They're the peak. They're the fun. Sex is great, but it's not the whole of a relationship. And that is maybe what you're actually finding yourself still doing, like many women are, inside of their career, their business, their money, the way that they're showing up every day. The change of the mindset, the way that you're showing up, and above all else, the energetics of that is what moves you from glitches to gold. What moves you from chasing the glitter chasing the false, chasing the ethereal orgasm, chasing the high, chasing the heroin, exactly the same behavior. You're chasing the hot guy to like you, the popular guy to like you, whatever. But if you're still playing out that energy with your money and stuff, you're never going to move to the gold, the sustainable gold. And that's what we're looking for. That's what we really want. Because, oh my God, it's so sexy. And when you've got to an age where you know you've tried the other route, oh my God, the sexiness of stability, the sexiness of having a stable foundation to grow from, knowing that you are stable in yourself and you can handle anything, knowing that you're stable in your business and you can grow from it. I am all about growth, and I truly believe we have the capacity to expand and be unlimited, which is why my membership is called Unlimited. Because a gold standard life is one that is growing, expanding, but you're growing as a woman, growing as a person, growing as a soul, growing as your own design, growing your wealth, growing your lifestyle. But once you have stability, you start to understand what it is you actually fucking want. One of the things I've come to realize over time is that I often see myself, I do this with planning trips, but I find myself going, oh yeah, I'm going to go and do this and this and this. And I expand to the fullness of myself. And then I realize that the trip I actually have is the one that I needed, which is much more stable. Much more like, I did all these things, I got to this place, but I didn't need to go that far. I didn't need to go to that distance. I didn't need to go to that extremity, because the extremities, highs and lows, are the matrix. And the matrix feeds on immaturity. That's a keeper. Hear this again. The matrix, the golden cage, feeds on immaturity. It feeds on that lack of stability. It feeds on the lack of sovereignty that comes from immaturity. And the choice is actually, am I choosing maturity? That doesn't mean you don't get to have the orgasms of life. It doesn't mean you don't get to have the luxuries of life. We absolutely fucking want the luxuries. I believe in gold. But luxuries can look so much different from a place of stability where you're not chasing to have the badge that other people think. She's got a great life. She's got a successful business, when in fact it's like, I have a successful business, I have a successful life, I am a successful person, I am successful because I am who I am and I have the business of me, which is the whole of me, sustaining all parts of me, my love life, my joy, my expression, my spirituality, every part matters. The body, the health, it all matters. That's what it means to have a gold standard life. So if you are liking the sound of this, if this is resonating you, I absolutely can lead you from the glitches to gold. If you head on over, again, as I say, to www.glitchestogold.com, you will find there The Matrix Decoded, a great place to start. It's only £55. It will lead you through 7 transformational audios that will help you to understand what you are doing with your mindset, with your energetics, that are keeping you playing out these same patterns instead of moving to the gold that you want. And from today, reflect on, how do you actually feel about being stable, being in stability? Is it sexy for you, or is it equating with danger? Is it equating with fear? That is the Matrix program. That is the secret feminine tax. What we want to do is just move from that instead of trying to just keep playing inside of that golden cage, wasting your energy. You've done enough work. You're in the right place. If you're listening to my stuff, come and join us either inside of the Matrix Decoded or come straight into Unlimited. I invite you there. If you love what I do, then please love, like, share to every woman you know. Make sure you rate this podcast. And of course, if you want to contribute and give a little gold to the sport of growing this podcast, you can find the links in the show notes, as well as the link to www.glitchestogold. I love having you in my world. I hope this helps you to change the way that you're thinking, the way that you're feeling, and the energetics of this flow of you having success in your business, your life, your career, but more importantly, having the gold standard life that you deserve and are designed for. See you next week.